TCG Addicts, to a brand new video. Today we will be going over the third and final installment of the Jiren decks, this one being the Successor Jiren decks. Now, as you can tell, it's a little different today. You have a video in front of you seeing me for the first time, and then the deck profile is here on the PC. The reason it's slightly different today is mainly due to the fact that a lot of the TCG team is in a big transition right now, so we're all kind of moving, getting back settled in. So for the next month or so, a lot of the videos are going to be what you see here. It's going to be on a DBS deck profile, and then the video of me right here. And the audio might be a little different due to my mic not being quite the same quality as my other mic, but we will get through that. We'll try to tweak that as we go. But enough about that. Let's go ahead and finish up the three-part series we have going, finishing up with Jiren Successor. Now, as you can see, the Jiren leader is the normal Jiren leader we've talked about in the last two decks. Honestly, we're not going to get too deep into the Jiren leader because you guys have seen the Jiren leader twice now in two separate videos. If you guys do need a refresher, please refer to those other videos that we've done before. That will give you a more insight and a more detailed description of how this Jiren truly works. But let's go ahead and get into the deck profile. We're going to go ahead and kind of just go down the list here of how you see it, just to kind of show you what's in it and then tell you how it interacts with some of the meta, as well as some of the new meta that's coming out in set 11 and what you can expect. Let's go ahead and just start right here with Zamasu being the super combo. If your leader is blue or yellow, you combo this card from your hand, you choose one of your opponent's leader or battle cards, and switch it to rest mode. This card becomes very effective in the new meta because of how many attacks they're wanting to do or multiple cards they're trying to swing with. You want this card in there for just the straight up defensive stoppage. Basically, you're trying to negate their leaders, you're trying to negate battle cards, make them tap them down so that they're not swinging with triple strikes, double strikes, just the crazy amount of stuff that's coming out, especially in set 11. This is going to become very broken. Now, don't get me wrong, you can go with the green-yellow super combos, you can go with any other version of where you need a yellow super combo. The super combo is always the card that can be very much interchangeable. If you want to get kind of closer to arrivals, as you see rebrand here as arrival, if you need more arrival cards, you can go ahead and replace this. But ultimately, for my playstyle, this Zamasu works really well, and I've noticed that with the meta as it is, tapping down cards becomes very much needed. Moving right along, let's go ahead and get into Topo, Gaze of Justice. Basically, once you play this card, auto triggers, or if it's placed in the drop area from a battle area by a skill, your opponent chooses one card in their hand, places it in the drop area, and then you can't activate Topo, Gaze of Justice for turn. Now, the reason there's two of him in here is, one, he is a combo piece for Arrival. You see rebrand here as Arrival. It's also a piece for any of the Successor. If you have any of the Successors where you need to get up to 9, 7, 10, just any of the above where you need Successor, or you have these Arrivals, rebrands, and I believe Krillin right here, and then Dispo right here also being Successor. This is just one of those pieces to get in there, play it, hand control your opponent, and then go in from there. So that's just one of your key little pieces. And as you see, there's only two of. He's not truly like a hard 4 of. You can obviously put 4 of in here if you want to lower the number of any of these other cards, like your negates, or if you're Super 17, if you want to pull that out, put in 2 more topos or 1 more topo and something else. That is perfectly fine. I find that 2 topos works really well. Going into one of the major players being Jiren Successor. Obviously, the Successor skill ability, this one's being 2 green, 2 yellow, and a... I can't quite make that out if I remember correctly, though. It's just a colorless. So basically, you're going to choose any number of your battle cards, whether they're mono green, mono yellow, or multicolor green yellow, where they add up to 10. You play this energy. You pay this energy cost. You take those. You put them in your drop area, and you play this guy. He is a quad striker, just like most of your big Jirens, but his auto is you choose 3 Universe 11 cards from your hand or battle area, place them in your drop area. When you play this card, he's not affected until your next main phase by your opponent's skills. So basically, he becomes a big barrier guy that has quad strike. So ultimately, they're like, no, we're going to nag him 30,000, 40,000 with invokers. or even with some of the new Son Gohan decks. This becomes very much, it just negates that by just choosing 3 Universe 11 cards. Now, as you can see, there's none of the original Jirens in here. If you do, what you can do, if you want, is you can drop this down to 2. You can drop this Jiren down to 3. And you can put 2 of the 12 drops in, because you're putting a lot of Universe 11 into your drop area. As you see, this deck doesn't have as much Universe 11 as most people would like, probably, in Universe 11 deck. But if you drop this down to 2, drop this down to 3, and you put in 2 of the 12 drops, that one becomes a 6 drop, so you can play that on the following turn after this guy. For 6, when you have 9 or more Universe 11 in your drop area, which this guy's going to almost guarantee you're going to end up with 9 in your drop area, on top of your combos, your rivals, anything of the above, you're going to end up with 9 or more in your drop area, and then you can go ahead and play this guy. Go ahead and let's move on to the SCR. Cell. It's just the most broken, probably, SCR in the game right now. A free Successor, 5 or more energy, choose 3 cards in your opponent's hand. You place them in the drop area, this guy gets dual attack, so you're ultimately hitting for 8. At 40,000 power, you're going to try to hit for 8. I mean, that's just a broken, free Successor. Honestly, I'm waiting for Bandai to do something with this guy, either errata it or a Successor costs something, or just straight up ban him, because that's just too OP. But as you can see, it's in this deck for a reason. It is a very good card, and it's useful. Moving on, right on to Analyza. Honestly, this is just your energy. It's one of those ones that it's not check land. It just comes in untapped when you have a multicolored energy already charged. So Analyza is really that good card that's just like, okay, I can bring in green or yellow multicolored energy and not worry about the exhaust. Let's go ahead and get into the first counterattack, being that's what you get. Negate the attack. You choose one Universe 11 card from your hand or drop area with energy cost of 2 and play it. 2 or less and play it. The reason this is here is 1, you negate the attack. 2, you get out Zorei, Kunchi, or Rehearsal. All 3 of these have effects you're going to need later on, and we'll get into those. If you've watched any of the other Jiren decks, you'll know what these 2 guys do already. These 2 being the combo pieces is the ultimate defensive wall. So ultimately what you're going to say is, I'm going to negate the attack, I'm going to bring out a blocker that's not going to die, because I'm going to have another Universe 11 on the board, and then voila, there you go. You've stopped ultimately 2 attacks with just 1 card. I understand the 2 cost is something that a lot of people don't like. A lot of you want to see these 1 cost or freeze. Don't get me wrong, that is a little bit of a turnoff, but ultimately this guy is getting out free pieces from your drop area or your hand. So ultimately free and free. So Jiren, I get a free hero combination Zorei or a free Kunchi. Negate your attack on your turn, I get a free Zorei, and then I stop another attack. So that's what this is for. Moving on to the next, Tower Bestower. The reason he's in here is because 1, he's a 2-drop barrier. He gets out quick, but then he increases his energy cost by 2, so he's a 4. He is ultimately a Successor piece. He is there to get out any of your Successors. Get up to 12, get up to 10, get up to 6, get up to 9. He's going to be 4 of that. So he's almost halfway on most of these guys already. So he's very useful for that. And that's all he's there for. Moving on to Dispo. Another Successor card costing 1 yellow. Again, we've went over Successor. Auto, if your leader card is Universe 11, when you play this card or it's placed in your drop area from the battle area by a skill, draw a card. So ultimately 15k for 1 cost, get him out for 4, and then you draw a card if he dies or if he's placed in the drop area, and then 15k beater. Alright, let's go ahead and move on to Krillin Android 18. For your first arrival for 1 green. The reason this is in here is mainly because of the fact that it's a choose a keyword on your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, negate it for the duration of the turn. That's an auto, is when you play this card. You get to choose one of them. So you can either hand control your opponent with the first ability, or you can board control your opponent, getting rid of their abilities for the duration of the turn. Now mind you, this is arrival, which means I can arrival this out on your turn. So if I arrival him out, say I combo Dispo, arrivaled him out, what this does is then I can negate your quad striker if it doesn't, or your triple striker, or your dual attacks, any of the above. I can negate that and stop it. Now mind you, it doesn't affect unisons. but it does affect all battle cards that are in rest mode. So say they're swinging with something, you're comboing a rival, like say they're swinging with Heartfelt Plea, which has Triple Strike. You combo Dispo on Jiren, you rival this bad boy out, then you negate that Triple Strike on Heartfelt Plea. It ruins the entire Heartfelt Plea. This also will work against some of the new Baby stuff, because Baby wants to ultimately hit for double strikes quite often. You're going to get rid of that very quickly. Now, also, mind you, that can also get rid of double strike from just about anything. Moved on to Rebrand. Again, another rival. Now, mind you, all of these multicolors can be energy until you get to your Analazas, but a lot of the times you're wanting these for their successors or their rivals. Rebrand, again. When you play this card or it's placed in your drop area, you KO one of your opponent's battle cards 4 or less. Oh, sorry about that, guys. So again, Rebrand will KO something 4 or less. Again, board control, very much needed in any form of meta. Moving right on to Jiren, again, Successor, green-yellow. But he has this nice little activate main right here once per turn. You increase this card's energy by 3, so he's going to be a 9-drop once per turn. He is a blocker, so he's a 25k 6-drop blocker for 2. But the reason he's so good is he's a 9-drop Successor, which means he ultimately can get out this Successor, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. And he's 1 away from this one and 3 away from this one. So he is a big key. So imagine you have this Jiren out and this Topo out. That's 4 and 9. You have enough between those 2 cards alone to get these 2 bad boys out with no issues. So right there alone is more than enough. Alright, moving right on to Belmod. Again, Successor, 2 green and a yellow. Auto, 5 more energy. When you play this card, your opponent chooses 3 cards in their hand, places in their drop area. So right there, hand control. That's an auto, automatically happens. And then second auto, when this card is removed from your battle area by opponent's skill, you choose any number of your battle cards in your drop area with energy cost 2 or less, when the total adds up to 4, and you play them with the skills negated for the turn. Now the reason this is useful, the second auto, is again, your hero combination Zores. You bring these bad boys out, it negates it for the turn, that's perfectly fine. It's negate for the turn, I pass turn, bam, they're immediate blockers with their permanents. And again, 30k dual attack. I mean, that's a 30k beater. Something very useful. Super 17, the reason there's 2 of them in here is, one, I thought he was really good for Successor for 3, 2 green and a yellow. But, I mean, just his auto abilities are great. Like, you choose your, when you play this card, you choose your cards in your opponent's life, and you place them in the drop area until they have 4 life. So, ultimately, even if they're at 8, and you Successor this bad boy out with its 9, so say you got this guy out quick, you Successor him out for 17 on turn 3, you bring them down to 4, and then when you attack, you draw a card, and you choose 2 of your opponent's battle cards and switch them to rest, or choose 2 of your opponent's cards and switch them to rest mode. It means you can tap down their energy, and then you're hitting for 30k crit. And as you see, there's no FDC for their Instruction Champa. You can easily put that in here, give him double strike and crit, and tap down their energy. And this is when this attacks. So if there's a way also to give him dual attack, by all means, every time you attack, you're dropping down 2, because that's not once per turn. So that just becomes a very broken card, very useful. I love this idea of this card, and it just, to me, was just really good to put into this deck. Alright, let's go ahead and move on. As you see, 4 Concoct Zones, 4 Flying Nimbuses. Again, as you see in this deck, there's 12 counterattacks with 4 basically permanent blockers. Just in case I need to go on defensive, that's what these are all here for. Concoct Zone, tapping down an opponent's battle card, and then Flying Nimbus, giving them 1 more attack. Now, obviously, you can put Light Bullet in here if you want. As you see, there's not much room in the deck right now, but you can tweak these counts easily and put Light Bullet in here. Or, as I said, you can put the 12-drop Jiren. Or, you can just tweak these numbers very easily. Alright, moving on to the final 3. Kunshi, giving all your Universe 11, 2 or less, barrier, hero combination Zore, blocker that can't be KO'd once per turn in battle. So, again, basically, as long as there's another Universe 11, which is Kunshi, he's going to have barrier, he's going to be an indestructible blocker for at least 1 battle. And then finally, Rehearsal, he's just going to be your searcher. You're looking for Universe 11s, he's your early searcher to get these bad boys out, and it becomes part of your Successor chains, trying to get early successors out, or just kind of finish up the successor with one yellow. And that is it, guys. That is the deck. Thank you for joining me on this. I understand this is definitely different than our normal videos, but please bear with us for the rest of the month. By the beginning of next month, or at least in the second or third week, these videos should be back to normal. Next week, I'll tell you right now, it's probably going to be a little different. We might start either a new set, or we're going to go ahead and start, I believe Lonnie, our founder, is wanting to do a deck profile. We might have that up next week, so just kind of keep on the lookout for that. And until then, stay addicted and have fun.